This is Emunas HaGeulah, right? Rabbi Yechezkel Levenstein, who was the Mashgiach of Panovich, the Mir in Europe before World War II. Okay. After World War II, he was Mashgiach Ruchani. He became the Mashgiach Ruchani of Panovich and the Mir in Eretz Yisrael in the 60s, both, right? Mashgiach Ruchani. And very well known, famous. He wrote a series of svarim called Or Yechezkel, and different topics. And this one is called Emuna, and this section is called Emunas HaGeulah. Okay, and he writes the following thing. He says, "Kasav smak bebir mitzvahs aseh." Right, smak is sefer mitzvahs hakatan on the Torah mitzvot. Okay. On mitzvahs aseh danoich Hashem lokecha asher hotzisicha me'eretz Mitzrayim. On the mitzvah, the Raisa mitzvah, right, the first of the 10 commandments that Kodesh Baruch Hu, he took us out of Mitzrayim. Leida, you should know, right? You have to know. She'oso shebaru shemayim ve'aretz levado mosho ma'ale umata. Part of the explanation of this mitzvah, part of the kavanah, the understanding of this mitzvah, is you have to know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one, God is the one who made heaven and earth alone. Nobody else helped him, right? And he rules over everything above and below. That's part of this mitzvah. You have to know that God is the one who took us out of Mitzrayim. And part of this mitzvah, the Smak is saying, is to know that God made everything and he runs everything. So he says, V'hosi b'zen, he adds to this, the Smak, V'b'zeh talui mash amru chachamim shoalim la'adam lacher misa. And to this he adds that this is also, built into this mitzvah also, is that they will ask him, the person, after he dies, on Yom Adin, b'shas misa. They're going to ask him the b'shas din, the time of having his final judgment, did you anticipate?
Right.
Not wait. That's, even though it's one of the 13 principles, Yud Gimli Karim, even though he will tarry, right? I'll wait for him. Waiting's different. This is Tzepisa Yeshua, which means to expect, to anticipate. When you anticipate something, waiting is just passive, just whenever it comes. Yeah. Doing things proactively that shows that you can't wait for it to come. There's also a famous story where the Chafetz Chaim was he was sitting in his apartment, wherever he was, and he heard a big commotion in the street. And the first thing he did was he put on his Shabbos Bekasha, and he ran down to the streets, right, assuming Mashiach had arrived, because why else would anybody get so joyous at that time? And he only saw his son-in-law, and he passed out. He fainted. Not the son-in-law, the Chafetz Chaim passed out.
Why?
He was so disappointed it wasn't Mashiach. That's how much he was anticipating Mashiach to come. He liked his son-in-law. Any other circumstance, he would have embraced his son-in-law with full simcha. But because he thought that, and he was so wanting Mashiach to come, he thought Mashiach was coming, and it wasn't Mashiach, it was too much. Okay, and so this is what he says, okay? The Smak asks the question, where do we get this mitzvah from, right? How do we know there's a mitzvah, Tzepisa Yeshua, to anticipate the redemption? How do we know that, right? Where does it come from? Ella Shmamina Bezet Talui comes from here. This mitzvah of Anuch Hashem Lekecha. Shekashem, because just like Sheyesh Lanu Halamin Shotzi Anu Mimitzrayim Dekasiv Anoichi, right? Just like we have to believe and remember that HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim, right, and we can't forget that. We have to believe it took place, even though it's thousands of years later.
Yeah, we remind ourselves every year.
Exactly. What do you mean every year? Every night we say the Shema, right? We have to do it twice a day. In the morning, we have to believe it with Emunah, even though we're so distant from it. We didn't see it. Our children didn't see it. Our great grandparents didn't see it, right? But it's an Emunah. It's written there. We believe it, right? Just like you have that Emunah, he says, Alkein miachashu dibur hachi kamar kashem shenrotzeh shetamin bi shani hotzesi eschem. Right, just like I want you to believe, I wrote it down that you should believe that I took it of Mitzrayim. Kachani rotzeh sheta'amin bi. You have to also believe me as well. Shani Hashem Elokechem, that I'm the Lord your God. Right. Vani asid lekabeit eschem lo shi'achem. Right, that I in the future will gather you in and save you, redeem you. V'chein yoshienu b'rachamav shenis v'ayin sham. So first of all, that we know we have the Indian as a piece of the Shua. That's a Gemara. That's a Gemara. The Gemara tells us that on Yom Din they're going to ask us 6 questions. One of those questions is, Tzepisa, Yeshua, did you anticipate the redemption? So we know we have the mitzvah.
All right, so okay.
Now the question is, where does it come from? Now, if you look at the entire Torah, and ask yourself, where in this Torah is there a pasuk that I can base this mitzvah in the Gemara on? Where does it come from? What's the most logical pasuk you're going to choose in the entire Chumash? It's going to be this pasuk. This pasuk is talking about Yetzias Mitzrayim.
Okay.
This pasuk is talking about HaKadosh Baruch Hu being the goyel of Klal Yisrael.
Right.
The truth is, we're not guessing. As part of the Masar, we know this. The Gemara is not a diary where it says that I didn't know yesterday and I'm asking the question today. Oh, here's the answer. The Gemara knows the answer before it asks the question. The question is just a way to get to the answer. So the Gemara knows that this pasuk is the Masorah for this halacha. But the Gemara is also telling you that if you look at this pasuk, it's the most likely pasuk to connect up with the idea. Now, Tzepisa Yeshua, it's a mitzvah deraisa. He's going to say shortly. It's a chelak of the first mitzvah of the 10 Commandments. This mitzvah of Anochi Hashem Lakecha, Hasher Tzitzich Meretz Mitzrayim, he's telling you has components. One component is that I took you to Mitzrayim, to believe it. One component is I made heaven and earth. I'm God who runs the world. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want to do it. He's also telling you there's also a mitzvah that just like I took you to Mitzrayim once and you're having a emunah that's true, you have to also believe I'll do it again a second time as well. He's just concerned with one idea. How do I know that, first of all, that I have this mitzvah to anticipate redemption, not just to wait for it, and second of all, that it's so important that you could even call it a deraisa, because that's what he's going to build towards. Yeah, this whole discussion is going to be about, it's called Emunas HaGeulah. This discussion is about the necessity of a person not just to sit back and wait for Mashiach to come, but the necessity to proactively do things that show you can't wait for it to come. If you have a simcha coming up that you're anticipating, your mind thinks about it if it's your own simcha especially, you think about it all the time. If you're going on a plane trip in a few days, you start planning in advance and start preparing and packing your suitcase. You don't wait till the last second. You don't just wait for the flight to come. You're anticipating things. If you have a big business deal coming up, all kinds of things that we anticipate. But he's just finishing up by saying that Mivar Mitavrav, the Emunas HaGeulah, that we learn from the Smak. This is the Rabbi Yechezkel Levenstein speaking now. He says it's clear from his words, the Smak, that Emunah in the future Gula, Begula Baset Sidahi, Chelik Ma'Emunah Anochi Hashem Lakecha. That if I'm not anticipating the redemption, I'm not only not doing that, but I'm not properly fulfilling the deraisa mitzvah of having Emunah that Kosh Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim. It's a chelik in that mitzvah, he's saying.
Really?
Yeah, I'm over the first mitzvah of the Aseret Dibros. Right? So he's saying, this is all part of the first of the 10 Commandments. This idea of Tzepisa Yeshua is built into that. Okay, now, if we look at ourselves regarding this matter that we're talking about, Tzepisa Yeshua, now he's writing the 60s. You have to understand, who's he talking to? He's talking to Tamei Chachamim who are sitting in the base medrash of Panovich. These are not stum people who haven't learned and don't know about the matter and they just assume certain things that aren't true. These are people who understand what the Torah wants from us. And he says, when we look at ourselves, it's not the way it's supposed to be. He's trying to say, just like the Gra, for example, the Vilna Gaon writes in several Sforim about what we're supposed to be doing to hasten the redemption.
He was really ahead of his time.
He was proactive. Well, the Zohar said by 5500, which is 1740, right? That's when the lights, the upper lights of the upper Chachma shine in the world for the sake of Gula, and that's why he changed tracks. He changed tracks. He was 20 years of age at that point. He took the Zohar very seriously, and he began developing a program to work towards coming back to Israel. And we're all here because of that initiative in the end. And he became extremely proactive in terms of trying to, anticipate the redemption, but also to what's the word, to jumpstart it, to get it going, because it was the time. what causes us to fall short in this area is because we get distracted by other aspects of life, and you can't let that happen. And he's going to point out, for example, tefillah is designed to stop that from happening.